Hi guys, Ash here for the Gutters and Blues. I haven't done one of these videos for a long time, just mainly because between doing the podcasts and different bits and bobs and obviously the games itself and obviously work commitments, trying to get the time together to do something like this. But because this is of course the Monday supplement, I haven't done one for a long time, but because of the severity of the situation that Everton Football Club find themselves in, and over the last 12 hours or so, we're kind of looking back at some of the other vlogs that are out there, and I was quite upset with what happened yesterday, and it's all come to a halt. It's something needs to happen now. We can all scream. Some are blaming Frank Lampard, some are obviously blaming the board, which it's correct and true, it is the board, and then others are going along with the board, and of course Agent Rafa, as he's been called now. And Rafa must be sitting at home laughing his bloody face off at the position that we are in. Now, I wouldn't go as far-fetched to say that it was done purposely, but deep down he's pocketed his money. He didn't give a shit about the club, and he's walked away with his pay packet. But what can the club do? I watched the Blue Boys Network yesterday, and the two boys there, Mike and John, and just right at the end to see John go into floods of tears because he is so worried about the club. And I'm 46 years of age, and I can remember watching in my bedroom the black and white TV the day of the Everton versus Wimbledon game. I can remember it. For some reason I can't remember the Gareth Farley one that saved us. But I never thought I'd see it happening again, that we are facing relegation, and more so that it's not like as we drip down towards the end of the season where you got dragged into it. We have been there since 20 games, 22 games left to go. We've been in that position, and we've got plenty of games left. There's 20 odd games left, we'll be fine. And then we had 15 games left, we'll be fine. Now we're down to 12 or 11 or whatever it is that's left, and our position hasn't changed. We haven't moved, and for 4 to 5 weeks in a row, the other results went our way, bar one or two. There might be a win or two here or there, but Newcastle have bought their way out of trouble. No disrespect to them. So that was a team that we would have said 3 months ago were done and dusted. They're gone. They were rock bottom, and now look where they are. They've won 7 out of 9 or 7 out of 10 or something like that, and they only just narrowly got beaten by Chelsea yesterday. They put up some performance against them. Now we have Leeds winning. There's a gap of 4 points between us and them. Brentford obviously won the other day, and Burnley, it's not fair. It gets you upset, gets you so annoyed, and you want to know why this is happening. We can't just turn around and say, "Oh, the players are shy." When you look at the players that play there, we're not saying they're Barcelona, elite top squad players. But they're players that, regardless of the club they play for, should not have the club in the position that it is. There's another girl, Rose. She does a vlog as well. She was visibly upset too as well. I watched Toffee TV, Ped and Baz. They've really just. It's like they're losing the will to live. I know it sounds really far-fetched, especially in light of what's going on in other parts of the world, but you really are wondering what's going to happen if the unthinkable does happen. And the way things are going at the moment, dare I say it, I don't see us getting any more points for the rest of the season. With all those games we have to come outside of the ones that we're all talking about. We're talking about the Wolves game yesterday. We're now talking about the Newcastle game on Thursday, which we're going to get walloped. Spoiler alert, we're going to get walloped. They're going to come to Goodison, and whether, it's gotten to us that we were all saying, the crowd has to get behind them, the crowd has to get behind them. Well, for the last 3 or 4 home games, the crowd has gotten behind them. And now, yesterday especially, the players decided to not react to anything yesterday. They put their flip-flops on. It's like they put the flip-flops on. They're in their summer break now. They've accepted relegation, and all they care about is their release clause that say, if the club goes down, I can go for this amount of money to anyone else. And some of those players might be lucky enough, whether they go to the French League, Bundesliga, Liga. That'd be Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You have to hope that the likes of Anthony Gordon, his head doesn't get turned, depends on who his agent is, he could be off. Demarai Gray, those kind of players. Van de Beek obviously making the comment that he doesn't want to go into a relegation fight with Newcastle, that's why he chose Everton. Well, by Christ, he made the wrong decision, didn't he? And then we have Dele Alli. Those kind of players, obviously he'll return to Manchester United, but those players might be lucky that they'll get out of the Championship and into either Premier League or other leagues, but they won't get the wages, because they're not going to take a risk on taking somebody who's on 100 grand a week. They're going to be losing the wage, and it's up to them obviously whether they move or not. And the other, the rest of the squad, who's going to take them? The bad eggs, as you want to call them. Who's going to take them? I don't see anybody taking them, and we will be stuck with that squad. Another vlog I watched yesterday was Cameron on the Mighty Blues. Visibly, emotionally, he was just really upset again yesterday, and he's gone as far to say that 99% of that squad, if the unthinkable happens and we go down, 99% of that squad has to be gone. Just wipe them out. It's like as if you're saying start afresh, because they're not if they're not giving a shit now, they're not going to give a shit in the Championship, and we'd end up being that Leeds United Sunderland scenario where we're stuck in that division for a number of years. When you look at the teams that are up at the very top there at the Championship, if we were in there right now, all those teams are pretty, especially in that top 6 of that group, they're all good enough to beat us left, right and centre with our current squad, which means that we won't have those promotional positions to get back into the Premier League. So we're stuck there for a number of years. Cameron also said yesterday that it's time, and I think it is time that Farhad Bashiri has to sell the club. We have to start afresh. I don't know who's going to buy, what's going to happen, if it's a consortium, but it has to be done. But I have a fully feeling that he's not going to budge until the stadium is in place. And once the stadium is in place, it boosts up the revenue, boosts up the sale of the club, and then he might turn around and say, you know what, this has been an absolute hassle for me. I know nothing about football, and I've destroyed one of the top English clubs. And up to a couple of years ago, if you looked at the listing of the top clubs in Europe, although we haven't won anything for a number of years, we were in not a horrible position, but we were high enough that people would still, if you go around Europe or around the world and mention the word Everton, they don't go who. But the Premier League without Everton, just not worth thinking about. It really is not worth thinking about. And as I said in the podcast, I sat in front of me TV and tears were flowing, because some of them were saying there was a lot of effort yesterday, apart from the same 15-20 minutes. The first half, we tried. Like, we had that effort to what was 20 odd seconds. Richarlison with that long distance volley. He then had another one that he, later on in the game, in the second half, he put into the side net, and maybe he should have got it on target. Another one then the keeper did save. Gordon, as the other guys have been saying, he's wearing the club on his. The weight of the club was on his shoulders. He can't do it by himself. Donny van de Beek, for the first time yesterday, I thought he was very poor. Every player, and you have a manager that has the, what do they call it, the honeymoon period. Well, Donny van de Beek was just nothing yesterday. Him and Decore, people are starting to question Decore now whether he's good enough for this side. It's just those two players. Every single time you had Godfrey and Holgate stepping out with the ball and trying to get something moving, they'd have a look around, see there's nothing there, so let's get Decore and Donny van de Beek into the game. They give them the ball, and what do they do every single time? Straight back to either the defenders. Didn't turn or try to bring Gray into the game, bring Anthony Gordon into the game. Then there was a lot of running around and walking around, and then a bit more running around and walking around, but there was nothing about that. And as I mentioned in the podcast, there was nothing killer about or wanting to go after this game. Even when we went 1-0 down, you know, the crowd showed their emotion, then the crowd got on them, more or less saying, guys, get off your arses and move. Didn't happen. Anthony Gordon, yes, continued. There was a couple of moments there, the Richarlison effort that came off the bar. And that's what annoys me about these new rules with the offside. You let the play go on, even though it's offside. You wait for the play to finish, and then you blow up offside. But the player who's attacking that ball doesn't know that. If he's clearly offside before he gets near the ball, then you blow it up, and that's fine. But that leads us down to Richarlison, and then for Dele Alli when he came on. Every single time they did get anywhere near the box or get on the front foot from a pass from either Gray or Gordon, when they got onto the ball, they were offside every single time. You know, you laugh at it, and then it brings you back down to the seriousness of what's going to happen on Thursday. As I said, it's a spoiler alert. Newcastle are going to come and paste us to the wall. Then, if I remember correctly, I think it's West Ham next. That's another defeat, as far as I'm concerned. Strangely enough, I would have said with the United game, we'll get walloped with that. But I wouldn't be surprised if that is the game that will somehow mysteriously pick up 3 points. And then we'll go and lose more games after. I just wouldn't be surprised. But obviously that 1 point is not enough. When you hear the magical number of saying the 38 points or 40 points is what's generally the safeguard to keep yourself in the Premier League. We've got 20 effing 2. So where are these other magical points going to come from? Now, people are saying, yeah, okay, Norwich are gone, and Burnley more likely gone. Yeah, people have to remember, this is the time of the season where Burnley and Sean Dyche usually somehow get a magic wand, and they play and rightly so every year, they play their way, they get results, pick up points here and there, and they play their way out of relegation. It happens for them most seasons, and that's what Sean Dyche is pretty decent at. So that happens, drags us down even further. You can forget about Newcastle. Brentford might get into it. Obviously Leeds are, apart from yesterday, won, so they get, I think they're 4 points ahead of us now, and they're all the games in hand. We can't even win any of the other games, never mind the games in hand. So it's not going to make much difference, and it's getting to a stage where when we're going to be playing Manchester United, Liverpool, we still have Chelsea, Arsenal. Where are the points coming from? Can anyone tell me? Because I really don't know. It's painful. It's hurtful. And then I saw the photographs this morning. Huge crowd. Absolute huge crowd that turned out at Mars yesterday. It was just amazing to see. And to be served up the likes of that. I think it was Brenda said it was guys over from the Barlow Arms were over as guests yesterday, and it was, as he said, it was just a shame we couldn't put on a show for them. And For me to obviously to the guys in the bar, I'm sorry I couldn't be there yesterday. Work commitments didn't allow me to be able to be there. I normally do be there on Sunday games, but like I seen the photograph. What a turnout, and even the photographs at the end, and everyone was still trying to show the grit and determination of wanting the club to be able to survive this a lot more. Actually, do you know what? We could have picked 11 from Mars Bar yesterday watching that game. You could have put them on the pitch and they would have done a lot better than that shower that turned up on that pitch yesterday. And then you have John Joe Kenny. He don't know what he was thinking. Now, I'm not blaming him fully, because we saw yesterday, especially with your man Huang, and then that little dweeb Podence was doing everything he could to get players booked yesterday. When he had the collision with Decore between himself and especially Moutinho, they're trying to make that was an elbow. And then he had an incident in the box with Jordan Pickford, and again he was trying to get Jordan Pickford, making the mark of the yellow card, trying to get him yellow carded. And then your man Huang, the joke was he was nearly on the ground for half an hour, and then eventually he went off. And then I didn't actually notice it at the time, but Cameron from the Mighty Blues, he said this before, and I'm actually agreeing with him. Everton Football Club, the players, they're too nice. When there's a time to be nice and there's a time not to be nice. Quoting Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse, the manager should be like saying, or the captain should be saying, I'll let you know when the time is not to be nice. You won't know about it, but I'll let you know. That's what should have been happening. But there was apparently there was a situation where a Wolves player went down. Wolves continued to play on, and then when the ball went out of play, I think it was Anthony Gordon. I think he was taking the throw, and apparently Seamus Coleman shouted at him to give the ball back to Wolves for fair play. But it wasn't that we put the ball, after getting injured, we put the ball out to go, for a throw, and then obviously then Wolves will give you the ball back. That's the fair play. But Wolves continued to play on with their own player on the ground. So that's where it's too nice. Our players are too nice. Are we going to change the hoarding from the People's Club to the Nice Club? At the position that we are in at the moment, it is time not to be nice. I don't mean going like what John Joe Kenny did and taking out that player, which fair enough, it was a second yellow. It should have been a second yellow. Your man made a whole mince of it. It's like he went 18 feet in the air to roll over. I don't know what he was thinking, and whatever, I knew from 1-0 we weren't going to win that game anyway, but whatever thoughts we might have had that we might even pick up a late draw, a late equaliser, once John Joe was gone and we changed our shape, that was it. And talking about changing shapes, the way we set up yesterday, I'm not saying it was wrong, but it goes to show that we can't adapt. So other players, Spurs did it on Monday, Wolves did it last night. They adapted to the way we were playing, and they knew our tactics from left, right and centre, and then that was us out of the game. And unfortunately, Everton Football Club for a number of years have not been able to do it yet. It's systematically one direction football. And if you have to change a shape, it goes out the window and players don't know what they're doing. But by Christ, this is a very worrying time. I'm going back to the nice situation. This club has to realise it's time not to be nice. And starting on Thursday, in St. Patrick's Day, God, as the old saying goes, the luck of the Irish, we need it, and we need not to be nice. And over the last couple of weeks, we've had one player will come out and make a little kind of a comment saying this, that. We need the fans. We need your fans. And then the other day was John Joe Kenny. Forget that. And for once in their lives, this club think back as if the Goodison Park is going to be empty on Thursday. We're back in the pandemic where there was no crowds. The players have to do it for themselves. If they want the fans, whether it's at Goodison Park, whether it's in your local bar, in Mars, in Dublin, any place around the world, where even the American toffees, the toffees from all over the world, wherever they are watching the game, forget about the fans, their vibes they're sending. The players need to do it for themselves. We can't help them anymore. I think the boos at the end, and then a song I haven't heard before rang out. And if you go on to the match reaction, Ped's match reaction on Toffee TV, you'll hear it. Basically, the crowd were singing to the fans, to the players, "You are not fit to wear the shirt," and they are. Bar a couple, they're not fit to wear the shirt. And the game's coming up. It's going to get worse and worse if we don't start picking up points fast. And it's getting that bad that I wouldn't be surprised that by the end of the season, the players don't seem to give a shit now. So if we're actually mathematically that we are relegated, so where we're in the 18th position, I wouldn't be surprised if we finish bottom that Norwich City will pick up enough points to remove us off that and we will actually finish bottom. I would not be surprised. As they say, we're Everton. This is Everton. It's what we do. The only positive, I was laughing at it yesterday, the only positive we could take was Jimenez didn't score against us. In 5 games he's played, 5 goals he scored. That was the only one yesterday. Someone else jokingly said that apart from Gordon and Richarlison, every other player should be dropped and the under 23s brought in, because they might have a bit of heart and want to pick up points to save this club. Because I know about you guys, I am, excuse the word, shitting it. To be what? The next Leeds to take 17 years to get back. We're following suit. You know, they come so close, doing so well in the league. They qualify to the Champions League. They spend so much money. They get relegated, and 17 years later, then they finally got the way back. And they were doing okay last season. They're struggling this season. We're following suit. 500 million spent on this squad, and we are worse off than we were before the money. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't think any of us can. What I will say is, and God strike me down for saying this, if the unthinkable happens and we do go down, we need to keep Frank Lampard. I'm not saying whether it's his fault that we don't get the points, that we go down. We need some continuity. We can't just keep chopping and changing managers. Who's the next one to come in? So that whatever happens now, between now and the end of the season, Lampard needs to stay. He then, whatever he has to do to rebuild, that's we have to go from there. We can't just wait until 4 or 5 games at the end of the season, or 4 or 5 games into the start of the championship season, and we get rid of our manager and we start the process all over again, because the club is now a laughing stock. And even every single vlog I've seen, the little keyboard warriors from across Anfield has come in. Like, I've sneaked across over to the Liverpool ones. You don't see Everton fans hiding in there. Liverpool lose a game, you don't see Everton fans going in there. It's like they are so worried about, or they're going to want to stick the knife in harder and harder and harder as the games go on. But I'm telling you, Liverpool fans, if it happens, the city will never be the same. To have no Merseyside derby, unless we're lucky enough to meet in a cup competition, to have no Merseyside derby, what we're going to do, we're going to, just to make up for it, we'll have 2 friendlies mid-season every season to make up for it. The city needs the Merseyside derby. The Premier League needs the Merseyside derby. Football needs the Merseyside derby. So all the little Liverpool fans that come crawling up through the keyboard onto the vlogs, stay in your own. There's no need, because like, you just get ignored anyway. No one listens to you. You go and concentrate what you guys need to do. That's all I can say really in regards to that. But yeah, I'll leave it there, guys. It's going to be a roller coaster end to this horrible season. What I will say, guys, just on this final note before I go, you do know, obviously, with Thursday's game, it is a very crazy time in Dublin on a general scale, because it's also St. Patrick's Day, and also because of the pandemic, there has been no parades, there's been no celebrations for the last couple of years. So this year's one is going to be extra nuts. The Gardaí have asked for the off licence to not open until after 4 o'clock, because it's all about street drinking, and it's going to be crazy, and every pub is going to be filled, and it'll just be too crazy. It'll be too drink filled. It'll be madness for every bar. So the club itself has decided, we've spoken with Mars, we're not going to go in there on Thursday. By all means, wherever, if you're able to get into a venue and watch the game in relative peace, by all means. But I think this time around, if you're going to watch the Blues at home, I think it's the best way to do it. It just will be too crazy, and you won't find a place that's going to put the game on with sound, because every bar is probably going to have it was complete madness. So I got that confirmed from Brendan this morning that the club has decided not to go in for the game on Thursday. I think it's better for all. It'll be too messy, just very difficult for us to enjoy the game. We just have to hope that as long with the St. Patrick's celebrations, we do pick up 3 valuable points. I really don't see it coming, but please Christ, let me be wrong. Okay, so I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to sign up on the YouTube channel as well. I will try and do more videos on a more regular basis. I have said that before. It's just trying to get the timing right and the schedule right to be able to do it. It's very difficult to do. I'm trying to get a podcast in there as well. So I will leave it there. I will be back at some stage during the week with a preview for Thursday's game. So until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we'll talk again very, very soon. Take care. Stay blue.